All right, today we're diving into something really fascinating, the Madhyamaka school of Buddhist philosophy. This tradition tackles a huge, huge challenge. How do you possibly teach a truth that you can't even put into words?
Really think about that for a second. If the ultimate nature of reality is just beyond language, beyond all our concepts, how in the world do you guide someone there? It's a massive puzzle. And Madhyamaka's answer is, well, it's brilliantly pragmatic. It's like, hey, we don't use just one method. Instead, you create a whole series of paths, each one tailored to where the traveler is on their journey.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to imagine our journey is like climbing a mountain. First, we'll start at the base, on what we'll call the gradual path. Then, as we get a little higher, we'll shift to an integrated view, where everything starts to look connected. Near the very top, we'll talk about the absolute leap. And then finally, standing on the peak, we'll look back and really understand the whole thing, the journey and the destination.
Yeah, just imagine trying to explain a mind-blowing mountaintop view to someone who's never even left their village. You wouldn't just say, oh, it's vast. That doesn't mean anything. You'd probably start with a map, right? You'd point out landmarks and build their understanding piece by piece. Well, that's exactly what Madhyamaka philosophy does, offering these 3 different paths for different levels of insight.
Okay, so let's start with path number 1. This is designed for the new student, the person who's literally just starting their climb. It gets that you can't just throw someone into the deep end of super abstract philosophy. No way. You have to begin with the world they actually know.
So, the very first step is introducing this idea of the 2 truths. On one hand, you've got conventional truth. That's the world we all experience every single day. You know, a table is a table, a chair is a chair. Simple. But then there's this other thing, ultimate truth. And this is the deeper insight that those things that seem so solid and separate, well, they aren't as permanent or distinct as they look. They're all interconnected and, in a way, formless.
And this right here shows the genius of the teaching method. You don't just walk up to a beginner and say, everything is empty, because that's just confusing. Instead, the Buddha first helps you analyze the world, to see all its different parts super clearly. It's only after you understand the forms that you can even begin to get what their ultimate emptiness means.
You know, it's kind of like learning to sail. The small wisdom is you studying the maps, learning how to tie all the knots, practicing in a safe little harbor. It's the essential groundwork. But the great wisdom? That's when you finally go out on the open ocean, where you develop this direct, intuitive feel for the wind and the waves. You absolutely need the manual before you can have the mastery.
And this quote just sums it up perfectly. Like a bird with fledgling wings, you can't be forced to fly high immediately. It's so good. A beginner needs time to strengthen their wings, right? This gradual path gives them the structure they need to get ready for those higher flights of understanding.
Okay, on to path number 2. As our climber gets higher up the mountain, the whole perspective changes. All those sharp distinctions that were so helpful at the beginning, now they start to blur, and everything merges into this one big, cohesive landscape.
So remember back on the first path, we learned to make a clear distinction between concepts like ignorance and wisdom. Ignorance was seeing the world as just a bunch of separate, solid things. Wisdom was starting to see their interconnected, empty nature. They sound like total opposites, don't they?
But then comes this absolutely radical insight. The true nature of ignorance is wisdom. Whoa. From this higher vantage point, you realize ignorance isn't some enemy you have to destroy. It turns out wisdom is just understanding the true empty nature of that ignorance. They aren't opposites at all. They're really just 2 sides of the very same coin.
And this analogy just captures that shift perfectly. All the concepts we used to see as so separate, good, bad, me, you, they're all like different rivers. For a while, yeah, they seem distinct with their own colors and tastes, but eventually, they all flow into the great ocean of reality and become one single taste.
So, the key point of this whole integrated view is non-duality. The world of sharp divisions and opposites just dissolves. And this isn't about destroying the rivers, not at all. It's about realizing they were always part of the ocean to begin with. In the end, there is no separation.
And now we're at path number 3, the absolute leap. We've made it to the summit. And this is the most advanced, most radical path of all. A final leap where you have to let go of everything. And I mean everything, including the very path that got you here.
So all along this journey, The concept of emptiness has been our main tool. It's been like a philosophical solvent that we've used to dissolve all our rigid ideas about the world and ourselves. But, and this is so important to remember, it's a tool. It's not the final destination.
And this is where we get this incredible analogy. Think of our attachment to fixed ideas as a kind of disease. The teaching of emptiness is the powerful medicine that cures it. Perfect. But what happens if you keep taking medicine after you're already cured? Well, the medicine itself becomes a poison.
This is the really mind-bending conclusion. If you get attached to the idea of emptiness, you've just created a new, really subtle concept to cling to. You've just swapped one cage for another. So the final crucial step is to let go of the tool itself.
This is what they call the absolute leap. Every single concept, every label, every philosophical tool that helped you climb the mountain, even the highest, most refined concept of a formless reality, all of it has to be released. You just don't need the map when you're standing on the summit, taking in the view directly.
So, let's just take a moment here and look back at the entire climb. What we've seen are three really distinct, but totally interconnected, ways of teaching, all designed to guide a student from a normal, conventional understanding to a truth that is way beyond any concepts we have. Let's just sum it up one last time. The gradual path, that's where you get the map, learning to tell the difference between conventional and ultimate reality. Then, the integrated view helps you see that all those separate rivers on the map are actually flowing into one single ocean of non-duality. And finally, the absolute leap, that's when you just put the map away and experience the boundless view for yourself.
And really, this is the key takeaway. All of these teachings, all of these paths, they are incredibly skillful tools. They're like a raft, designed for one specific purpose, to get you across the river of ignorance. But once you get to the other shore, you don't carry the raft on your back. That would be silly. You leave it behind.
And this just leaves us with one last, pretty profound question to think about. The paths are designed to be transcended. The raft is meant to be left behind. So, if all the tools are ultimately discarded in the end, maybe the real destination was the transformation that happened during the journey itself.